Yeah, that's a good question. Gear and technique. Honestly, this is something I learned a while back, but you never go cheap on your equipment. So whatever you end up buying for your equipment, don't go the cheap route because you're going to regret it down the line. So always try to get the best shit for your setup because it lasts longer, even though it may cost like $50 extra and it has like a small detail that's just a little bit better. That small detail adds up over time, and so because if you've got enough stuff, they all add up. So never go cheap with your equipment, whatever it may be. That's the one area you don't want to go cheap. You can go cheap with car parts, right? You can get the cheaper alternator or the cheaper starter, right? You can get all these cheaper stuff for your vehicle. That's fine. But when it comes to military equipment or tactical equipment, that's the one area where you don't go cheap with. You try to go for the higher end things, even though it costs more. That's because this is a certain set of tools that you don't want to have the cheap stuff, because if you ever have to use these tools, it's probably in a very unique situation that requires life and death, and you don't want to have the cheap stuff because that might be the difference between living and dying. So always go with the expensive stuff on your equipment. But if you're even in carpentry, you can get away with buying Milwaukee or Rebuilt tools opposed to getting a DeWalt or a Husky or a Snap-on, right? You can go cheaper and get those cheaper tools, and it won't affect you that much. Yeah, sure, you can get mad online, it takes more time, this and that. But when it comes to this type of equipment, you don't go with the cheap. You go with the high-end stuff, even though it may cost 3 times as much more. You go with it because it's the quality in your stuff. Now, it's a general rule. There's outliers out there that are exceptions to the rule, but generally you always try to go with the quality.
What modifications, if any, have you made to your gear to improve your accuracy and comfort?
Yeah, so with a lot of my equipment, I have cannibalized other pieces of equipment and added them on to other stuff to try them out. So I may take something from one piece of equipment that I really like and add it on to something else that may not have it to make it unique. So for example, I had a Camelback, and a Camelback is just something that carries all your water on your back. And every time I throw on a heavy backpack, my Camelbacks would always break, and the bladder would just break open. Well, how do I fix this? There's this company called Ice Plate, and they make hard Camelbacks. So every time I throw my heavy pack over it, it doesn't break anymore. I'm like, okay, cool. But the only problem with the Ice Plates is they have this weird fucking part you put on to get the water out, but those fall off very easily. I don't know why, but so if you want to buy a new one, you have to spend another $50 just to buy a new tube. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. So what I did was I cut the tip of that off, and I grabbed from another water Camelback that I had, and I pulled that lid off, and then I stuck it in the tube, and there you go, new straw for my Camelback that fits. And not all of the tips would work. I had to go through like 3 or 4 of them to figure out which ones would fit inside that specific tube. But yeah, you have to do things like that to adjust. You have to pull from one thing to make it better, and then yeah, that's just one example. But that was with my Camelback. Yeah. So cannibalizing kits to make your kit better is perfectly cool. If you have to do it with straps, you can do it all the time with different stuff. But yeah, just whatever works for you, whatever is most comfortable on your body, whatever fits the best, whatever makes you lighter, but at the same time makes you better. Because you might be wearing, I don't know, You might be wearing a plate carrier that's 20 pounds and they're level 4 plates, but you need to get rid of all that excess weight because the plates you're running are ceramic and they're from Agilite, so they're super light, but you need to get rid of excess weight because it's heavy, right? Because you're wearing it all day. So you might need to get rid of small things or things that on your pack that weigh lighter, same material, just different type of brand. So it just depends on what you're running. Upgrading your plates versus steel plates. Steel plates weigh an arm and a leg, but ceramic plates cost 4 times as much. But you throw a ceramic plate on, you're saving a lot of weight. Some things you just gotta play with a lot of things. You gotta play with a lot of things on your pack, messing around with things. Yeah.
How do you analyze your grouping and targets to make adjustments to your grip or stance?
Oof. Say that again.
How do you analyze your grouping or targets to make adjustments to your grip or stance?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think there's a couple parts to that. The first part's your stance, your footwork. Your footwork's very important because it doesn't matter if you're in a fighting sport or a shooting sport, right? Or if your footwork is the most important part because that's what the foundation is built up on. You build everything up from your footwork. And every time when I'm fighting, right? If I'm fighting or sparring and someone has shit footwork, I can see it. So when they have bad footwork, I can see their timing. I can see all the flaws in their fighting style because it goes up, it ripples up. So it all starts with your footwork. If your shot placement isn't that great, it's because your footwork is bad. And if you have bad footwork, it just means you got to work on a lot of the things that create a solid foundation and fundamentals of a good gunfighter or a person who just fights martial arts in general. Because your footwork is the most, I can't emphasize this enough, footwork is the most important part. And then I'd say your hands after that is where your hands are on the rifle really help, how steady they are, how it is. So yeah, just footwork and then your hand placement. Your hands will really dictate how the flow of everything goes out through the barrel. Balance. Yeah, so footwork up, but other people, I don't know, it's different for everybody, right? Everyone has their own opinion. This is just my opinion. It's all about footwork and hand placement. That's me, but it can be different for everybody else. I think hand placement and footwork is the most important when it comes to shooting or fighting too. Just martial arts in general. Like if you're fighting kickboxing and you're fighting Dutch style, okay, well, that's one way. But if you're fighting and you have your hands down like a Taekwondo style, well, you shouldn't have your hands down that low because all you have to throw is one heater down the pipe with someone who's in their Taekwondo stance and you'll level them, right? So it's all about hand placement with that, or strong footwork, then hands. But it's different for everybody, so yeah. But that's how you improve your accuracy, is footwork and hands, for sure.
How much of your training is dry fire, practicing without live ammo versus ammunition versus live fire?
There's this really cool trick. It's not even dry firing. This guy, really cool guy I was with in the Legion, and he taught me this badass fucking with your hands, because we didn't have a lot of ammunition when I was in the Legion. They give us like 4 rounds per fucking day, right? Or not per day, but like every 2 weeks. It was bullshit. But anyways, fucking when you're doing your hand placement, hold on, I'll show you when I get up to the stoplight real quick. Hold on. So you go like this. And that right there, that was a really cool trick that he taught me. Shout out to Billy. But that trick right there, I really enjoyed that. That's without even a gun. You do that with your hands, and that really helps with your trigger finger.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I think that was one of the cool ones I learned, was that because we didn't have a lot of ammo, so we had to train. How do you train when you don't got that much ammo? Is essentially what the question is. So you got to do things like that. Also, another thing, we drew a circle on a piece of flashcard, put it about 10 meters in front of us, maybe 5 meters, or put it at the end of your rack, and you'd do things like that. And you'd focus on that hole on that flashcard, and you'd do things like that. So that's a fundamental, right? That's a fundamental trick, or a fundamental tool that you can use. I enjoyed that. I used that one quite a bit. And that's without even touching a gun, because you won't always have access to a gun. So how do you get better at your gunfighting without even having one, right? You do tricks like that. Yeah. The ladies like it too.
Okay. You want us to keep going?
We can call it there.
Okay. Because I had more for you. But...
Oh yeah, sure. Ask away.
Okay. Safety and philosophy.
Safety and philosophy.
How has your understanding of